we're just about 90 minutes away from the durable goods numbers, actually a little less than that, and 3 hours away from consumer confidence numbers. This morning we've asked some of our favorite experts to play fortune tellers and predict what we're going to see when the numbers come out. Joe Bessiker from Emerald Asset Management is here in the studio, and Don Holbrook is an economist with Versatas Group and as well as the author of Who Moved My Smokestack? I like that. That's coming out in February, and he joins us from Minneapolis. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
All right, Don, let's get started with you. Tell our audience, what exactly is the durable goods number? What does it measure?
Well, it's looking at the production of goods that are sold to the consumer market for the most part. Also, the production of things like we see aircraft in there. There's a lot of different things in there that are measured, and it leads to really the production and gross domestic product of the country and how we stand in that. And the fourth quarter is really important because it's indicative of what we expect coming up in the future. So everybody's been sitting on pins and needles waiting for this report. I think it's very predictive what's going to happen. Energy's driving everything right now, and transportation adjustments are being made, and I think that's what you're going to see in the upcoming report.
Joe, do you agree? Because it is a November number, so is it a lagging indicator?
Well, I'm not on pins and needles, because I'm not an economist. So these numbers come and go for me, and I look at the individual stocks. Where it is important to me, though, so I might maybe on a pin and a needle, is I want to see how the Fed reacts to the number. Right. It's important to me, as an investor, that the Fed remain to be accommodative. So I want them to lower interest rates. I believe that they're in a little bit of a quandary here. So that's why I want this number not to be too hot. Okay, I mean, that as far as what I really want. These numbers to me are important, but if you take a big long-term picture, we're going to forget next year at this time what the durable numbers was this time, but we will remember what the Fed did.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting, you know, if I can turn to you for a second, Don, you know, if you look at it, it's the capital goods, really, that give us a sign in corporate America as to how strong the backlog is, how strong the orders are. How important is that as a sign or an indication that the economy is healthy?
It's extremely important, and I think, you know, that when I say we're sitting on pins and needles, I think we're right. It's going to be fairly inflation adjusted. I expect it's going to be fairly flat. Aircraft and some of the heavy goods are related to farming, and that's why I said energy drives everything. This is a big year. When you look back 100 years from now, people are going to talk about the fact that this was a century that we really focused on energy, and I think that that's what's driving, in particular, if you take the durable goods and look at those, and you take out this huge influx of aircraft orders probably that you're seeing. People are retooling the aircraft industry. They're retooling for the fuel-efficient cars. The rest of it's fairly flat, inflation adjusted. So, you know, I don't think we're going to see a very robust 2008, unfortunately. And so I think that's predictive of what's coming because we've got a lot of mess in the economic soup right now that we haven't figured out. And I don't see political leaders giving people the confidence that they have an answer. So I think it's very indicative of where we're going to be next year. And I think people are worried, and I think they should be.
You know, Joe, I saw you waving your head in agreement and disagreement on some of those comments. But what I want to ask you is this. Consumer confidence comes out at 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. The consumer confidence number in November was the weakest number that we saw in 2 years. How important right now is the confidence in the consumer? Because we're seeing declining retail sales. We're seeing concern about what Don's bringing up, rising gasoline prices, rising home heating prices.
Would you expect them to be more confident? Of course not. I mean, at this point, I mean, but we're working through these things. All right, people are getting used to having to pay $3 and X a gallon. People are getting, you know, through some of the issues that are out there. So I'm not expecting a huge increase in consumer confidence, although there are many things to be thankful about. We don't have a lot of time to get into that now. The only thing that I was saying, and the reason I shook my head, is it's not, I don't believe it's all about oil. I mean, last time, the last number, communications equipment and computer equipment were down significantly. I hope, and I think part of that is because there's been this transition in what's going on in that business, and so people are waiting for the CIOs of the world are waiting for the newer kind of equipment to come out. But the point is, and I think it's well taken, I'm not looking for any bang-up number here. I am actually kind of secretly rooting for kind of a tempered number so that the Fed
exactly.
Exactly.
You know, Don, let me turn back to you. How important are these numbers, both the durable goods numbers and the consumer confidence numbers for the markets?
Well, I think that the markets want them to be stronger than they're going to be. I do think that the consumer confidence is going to continue to sag this next year because we have a lot of, it's not just about energy. You're right. I think America is going through a retooling process right now. We're trying to figure out where we have to be to fix a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are in the mix, and I think the market wants it to stay strong, but unfortunately we're coming off of a lot of irrational exuberance in the housing market. There's a lot of stuff that's got people really hesitating, and I think consumer confidence is going to lag because of that. And there's a lot of things in the mixture. It's not an easy solution. There's a lot of chaos theory out there right now, and quite frankly, I don't hear a lot of things in the political market and the politicians that are especially running for president that have given people confidence that they have a solution. So the market would like it to be stronger than I think it's going to be. And the bottom line is I don't expect a very robust 08, and I think we might have a little bit of a false bottom in 08, but for the most part I think until we get a transformational economic policy in place that embraces globalization, we're going to continue to see sagging consumer confidence. And these numbers are really kind of the end of the, I look them to be the end of some of the old euphoria.
All right, well, Don and Joe, we're going to leave it there because we're going to have you back at 8:30. You guys continue to agree or disagree when the numbers come out. All right, as I mentioned, the durable good numbers will be out at 8:30 Eastern time, and of course we'll bring them to you as soon as we get them. We'll have these guys back in to give us their predictions and match them up against reality. I also want to make sure you keep your eyes out for Don's new book, Who Moved My Smokestack? As I mentioned, it comes out in February. All right, coming up next.